What's up, y'all? Get your popcorn because today we're going to be learning why men have such a hard time getting their point across to women.
Energy made this one.
All right, so today we're going to be watching a video by Psych Hacks. You might have heard of him, and if you haven't, where have you been? But today, you know what? Just watch this, guys.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is how women train men to be angry. This is something that many women do, and that many women do inadvertently. And this, of course, is to be expected, as few women prefer to be in the presence of male anger. In fact, most find male anger terrifying, which makes their contribution to this process all the more tragic and ironic. And this is not to say that men don't have their share of responsibility in this. After all, they inadvertently allow themselves to be trained in this way. However, if women can come to appreciate how they may be perversely incentivizing male anger, it will go a long way toward reducing unnecessary relationship conflict. To explain how this process occurs, I'm going to begin by sharing an anecdote from my own life. Now, I am by no means a perfect person. However, all other things being equal, I'm a fairly patient guy. In the last 10 years, I can count the number of times I've raised my voice on one hand. And all of those times have been associated with two specific women. I was in a long-term relationship with one of these women many years ago, and I remember having a lot of trouble getting through to her. And this was really puzzling to me because I know that I'm actually an exceptional communicator. I'm articulate and precise in my words, and I have good command of tone and expression.
Okay. He's saying he's a good communicator, right? Which I would argue a lot of men are really good communicators because we're able to take our feelings out of the situation and really present what we're going through in a logical fashion. I would say that this is similar to a lot of men's experience I would say that a lot of men feel the same way. But I'm gonna let him keep going.
To clearly indicate my emotion. In general, I don't have a problem transmitting my message to my intended audience. However, when I brought certain issues to her attention, for whatever reason, my words just didn't seem to penetrate her understanding.
All right. He said he's able to portray the way he feels and his contentments in a very healthy fashion, right? He's able to communicate it. He's able to think of what he feels, communicate it very precisely. I would say that's very similar to what I can do. And I'm pretty sure that's very similar to what a lot of men like you can do out there. But if he's going where I think he's going with this, is that, oh, I've tried so many times. I've tried this, I've tried that, I've tried portraying it like this. Yeah, that's true. You might have portrayed it in many different logical fashions. But if we know that men, we are more logical in our ways of approaching things in life. Women, they rely more on their emotions. When it comes to you as a man trying to explain the way you feel to a woman, whether that be you're trying to get her to understand the way you feel about your boundaries, disrespect, anything. Yes, there are women out there that you can explain things to logically and very healthy, and they will get it. For a woman to understand what you're trying to say, more times than not, she needs to have an emotion induced in the message you are portraying. All right, before I dive deeper, let's see what else he has to say.
In the moment, it would seem as though she understood. However, when the conversation was over, she'd just go back to doing whatever it was that she was doing before, as if the discussion had never happened. And in the beginning, I just assumed that this was my fault, that I hadn't yet used the right words to represent how important this was to me or how disrespectful and hurtful her behavior was.
That's not it. He did express it. It's very well known. but it's known, but it's not felt. That's the difference, you guys. All right. I'm sorry. I keep stopping it. My fault, you guys.
I assumed that if she understood this, she would have to change her behavior. And the fact that she hadn't changed her behavior was proof that she hadn't yet understood. Therefore, the solution was to try again and to communicate more clearly and effectively than before. And I did try again. Many, 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 many times. Not only that, I used all the various communication strategies and psychological tactics I had at my disposal to get my point across, and none of them worked. I was calm, I was patient, I sought to understand rather than be understood. I tried everything I could to let her know that her behavior was problematic and that I wanted it to stop. All to no avail. Until one day, after scores of unsuccessful attempts to get through to her, I had it. I snapped, I lost my temper, and I yelled and screamed at her.
Okay. Why, if he's going where I think he's going with this, why do you guys think that this worked? I'm legit asking. Why do you think that after multiple times he had tried to express the way he felt in a calm fashion, very professionally, very precise, why do you think that these efforts fell upon deaf ears?
And guess what happened? For the first time ever in the history of that relationship, she apparently heard what I said and she changed her behavior. And it was at this point that I realized that I had to take myself out of that relationship, which I subsequently did. Why? Because if the only way I could be heard in my relationship was by raising my voice and becoming increasingly aggressive, then I would be molded into an angry, aggressive man over time. Neither one of us would have wanted that outcome, but that's what would have happened. If nothing changed, that relationship was headed to a very dark place, as I would have functionally had to choose between being angry and being ignored. Women.
Ladies, did y'all hear that? There's this whole happy wife, happy life thing going on. But as men, we try our best to communicate the way we feel and what we think about certain things. And when they fall upon deaf ears, these are the options that we are stuck with. It's either we shut the fuck up and become somebody that we don't want to be, or we just leave y'all. Are these two outcomes that you guys really want in your relationships with your man? Ask yourself this.
You have to understand that the vast majority of men don't escalate to anger immediately, and you should just leave any man who does. Rather, the vast majority of men will try to communicate with their women many, many, many times in different ways, using different strategies before resorting to anger. And this is how women inadvertently train their men to be angry, by ignoring, disrespecting, or invalidating them when they attempt to communicate non-aggressively. And as should be abundantly obvious, this is very, very stupid. Now, before I go any further,
wow. I didn't say it, you guys. I didn't say it. But I agree. It is very dumb. You guys train your man to be like this, and then you complain about your man for being like this. Ladies, make it make sense.
now, If a man, for whatever reason, can't seem to get through to his woman about something important to him, if he remains unheard time and time again, then there are really only three things that can happen. The first thing that can happen is that the man will escalate to anger and aggression. For better or worse, most men are going to attempt this strategy first before moving on to one of the two remaining options. In general, when people don't feel heard, they get louder. This is often counterproductive, especially in intersexual relationships. However, it is one of the remaining options when reason and understanding fail. And just to be clear, this isn't always a bad thing. After all, men are socially expected to be protectors, and they are encouraged to fight for the things that matter to them. Typically, one of the things that matters to men are their primary relationships. Now, when the security of that relationship is threatened by, say, a home invader, few women would have a problem with their men fighting to defend their relationships. However, when it is a woman's behavior that threatens the security of the relationship, then men are placed in a double bind. They feel pulled to protect the relationship, but doing so functionally means they end up fighting the woman who constitutes that relationship. If they don't fight, they lose. If they do fight, they lose. This is unwise, women.
This is unwise, women. Why would you want your man to fight you? Ladies, more times than not, you guys are the problem. I'm not excusing the men who are the problem. But ladies, when you are the problem, you need to notice it. When you have a man who has tried multiple times to express the way he feels, his contentments, etc., you need to take him seriously. Just because we're able to say it as if we don't care, it doesn't mean that we don't.
It is not wise to put men in double binds unnecessarily. And this is because after most men escalate to anger and aggression and find it to be counterproductive, they are left with only two real courses of action. Either the man collapses internally in order to protect himself from the pain associated with his continued invalidation, becoming over time a shell of his former self, or he leaves.
Whoa. Holy shit, you guys. This might be the craziest part of this video, and this is where I'm going to cut it off. I have seen and I have been this guy before. I'm no longer him, but I have seen this guy so many times to where, ladies, we as men, we want the least amount of problems with you as possible. And in doing so, this sometimes can force us to become a type of man that you don't respect. But more times than not, it is your doing that we become this man. I'm not excusing the man. He needs to be the man that he needs to be regardless. And this is why I created this channel, because there's a lot of guys out there that need to know this type of information to have a successful relationship with you. When you met that guy, he was doing his shit. He was on his grind. He was on his purpose. And because he loves and cares about you, now he's put you a little bit higher up on his totem pole. And he's taken a little bit more of a compassionate approach towards you and handling your emotions and problems that come both of your way. And it's sad to see that there's a lot of women that force this man to become a weaker version of themselves just to appease you, which he doesn't benefit from and you don't benefit from either. So, hey man, if you like this video and you like what he was talking about and you agree, man, hit that like, share this video. You guys, man, it is just so frustrating. Men and women both need to learn the opposite ways of understanding one another. Women, you guys need to understand that men take a more logical approach to the way they handle problems. And men, you need to understand that women take a more emotional approach to the way they understand and handle their problems. If we could both have this, there's going to be more of this.